The small puppy shouldn't have been there. The alley was cold, dark, and forgotten. The kind of place where no one stopped and no one cared. Trash bags were torn open. The ground was wet from last night's rain, and the air smelled like abandonment. But in the middle of it all, a tiny golden puppy stood frozen, his body shaking, his eyes locked on something lying just a few feet ahead. At first, it looked like nothing more than a shadow, but then the shadow moved. Barely, weakly. It was a kitten, injured, alone, and struggling to breathe. And what this puppy did next, no one expected. Before we continue, take a second to like this video and subscribe to Logic Unlocked, because stories like this remind us that heroes don't always walk on two legs. Sometimes, they come with paws, loyalty, and a heart bigger than the world. The puppy was small, no more than a few months old. His fur was dirty, clumped together from days of surviving on his own. He had probably been abandoned too. His ribs showed through his thin body, and every movement looked careful, unsure. But when he saw the kitten, something inside him changed. He stepped closer, slowly, his tiny paws making soft sounds against the wet ground. The kitten didn't run. It couldn't. One of its legs was twisted, and its breathing was shallow, uneven. Its eyes were barely open, filled with pain and fear. The puppy lowered his head and gently nudged the kitten with his nose. Once. Then again, the kitten let out a faint sound, almost like a whisper. The puppy froze, watching, waiting. He didn't understand what was wrong, but he understood one thing clearly. The kitten needed help. He looked around the empty alley, as if expecting someone to appear. But no one came. Cars passed far away. People walked on the other side of the street, unaware of the quiet battle happening in the shadows. The puppy looked back at the kitten, and in that moment, he made a decision. He grabbed the kitten gently by the loose fur near its neck, careful, instinctive, the way a mother would carry her baby. The kitten didn't fight. It didn't have the strength. Step by step, the puppy began to walk. He was slow, careful, determined. Every few seconds, he stopped, adjusting his grip, making sure he wasn't hurting the fragile life he carried. The alley was long, and the puppy was weak. Twice, he stumbled. Once, he almost fell. But he didn't give up. He kept going, driven by something deeper than instinct. Something pure, something human, even though he wasn't. Minutes later, he reached the edge of the alley. Bright light hid his eyes. The world outside was louder, faster, colder. The puppy hesitated. He had never been out there alone like this, but he looked down at the kitten, whose breathing was getting slower. Time was running out. Across the street was a small building. People went in and out. The puppy didn't know what it was. He only knew that people meant possibility. Help. Hope. Gathering every bit of strength he had left, the puppy crossed the street. Cars passed, horns sounded, but somehow he made it. When he reached the sidewalk, his legs were shaking violently. He placed the kitten down gently and sat beside it, panting heavily. Then he did something heartbreaking. A bark. It wasn't loud. It wasn't strong. It was desperate. Inside the building, a young woman paused. She heard the sound. At first, she ignored it, but then it came again. Weak. Pleading. She stepped outside. What she saw stopped her cold. A tiny golden puppy, covered in dirt, sitting beside a broken kitten, watching her with eyes full of fear and hope. And hope. For a moment, she couldn't move. She couldn't understand what she was seeing. And then the puppy barked again, softer this time, and nudged the kitten with his nose, as if saying, "Please, help my friend." Her heart shattered. She rushed forward, kneeling beside them. Up close, she could see how bad it was. The kitten was injured badly, and the puppy, he was starving. "Oh my God," she whispered. The puppy didn't run. He didn't hide. He stayed, watching her every move, trusting her with the life he had fought so hard to save. She carefully picked up the kitten. The puppy stood immediately, following her, refusing to be left behind. Every second mattered. At the clinique, the staff rushed the kitten inside. The puppy tried to follow, but the door closed in front of him. Then, an hour, the woman stood quickly, her heart racing. The kitten was alive. Barely, but alive. The woman looked down at the puppy, tears filling her eyes. The puppy stayed too. He refused to leave. He slept beside it. He ate beside it. He waited beside it. Its eyes opened fully. The kitten didn't understand everything, but it understood him. Weeks later, the kitten took its first steps again. The clinic staff couldn't believe it. She couldn't separate them. They belonged together. The day they left the clinic, the puppy walked proudly beside the kitten. They had saved each other. The kitten is strong, playful, and healthy. The puppy is happy, protective, and brave. They sleep together, eat together, live together. And the moment he chose to be a hero, not for attention, not for reward, but for love. Kindness doesn't need words. Courage doesn't need size. And heroes don't need recognition. Sometimes, the smallest soul can make the biggest difference. If this story touched your heart, comment here below to honor this brave puppy. And don't forget to subscribe to Logic Unlocked for more real stories that remind us why hope still exists in this world.